Have you ever wondered why, among so many videos available on YouTube, it was exactly this one that found you? Make no mistake, you did not choose this video. This video chose you. Studies show that more than 80% of our decisions are guided by the unconscious, by signs and synchronicities that most people never notice. The simple fact that you are here right now is not an accident. It is a confirmation that something within you is already ready to take a leap that is not physical, not geographical, but a leap through timelines. Imagine, for a moment, that there are infinite versions of yourself living different lives right now. One version of you that prospers, another that suffers. One version that found its purpose, another that still feels lost. And in this moment, you are standing on the threshold between who you have been until now and who you could become if you accept to cross the portal. Before we dive in, make sure to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and activate the bell. Because if this video has already found you, it is a sign that your spiritual algorithm is aligned with this knowledge. Feel it. Breathe deeply. Close your eyes for a moment and notice there is a different vibration within you now. Maybe it is restlessness. Maybe it is a sense that the life you have been living is no longer enough. Or perhaps an intuition whispering, "There is something greater waiting for me." This calling is the sign that the portal has opened. But pay attention. Portals do not open for everyone. They only appear when your consciousness reaches a frequency capable of perceiving them. For those who are still asleep, everything remains the same. But for those who awaken, reality begins to crack. Small coincidences increase. The same numbers repeat on the clock. People suddenly speak words that sound like coded messages for you. Even your dreams begin to carry strange symbols. These signs are not random. They are messages from your future self, trying to get your attention. Imagine your expanded version, the one that has already leapt into a higher timeline. It is sending reminders, creating synchronicities, arranging encounters that seem casual. Also, you realize the time has come, and here is the deepest truth. The portal is not external. It was never in some place in the universe, on a sacred mountain, or in a hidden temple. The portal is inside you. It is a point of decision, an invisible line between continuing to be who you have always been, or crossing into who you were born to be. The leap through timelines does not happen on scheduled dates, nor in grand events. It happens in silent instants. When you choose not to repeat the same pattern, when you decide to break a cycle of pain, when you dare to believe that life can be different, that moment is the opening of the portal. Most people do not notice. They feel the calling but ignore it. They experience synchronicity but call it coincidence. They feel the urge to change but fear leaving what is familiar. And so, the portal closes and life goes on the same. But you are not here by chance. You are here because you have already heard this calling. You have already noticed there is something waiting for you beyond routine. And now, before you, there are two options. Pretend this video is just another motivational content and continue life as always. Or accept that this is the meeting point between you and your higher self, and that this is the moment to cross. So I ask you, are you willing to cross the portal? Write in the comments, "I accept the leap" if you feel this message is for you. This simple declaration is already the first step to materializing the new timeline. Since childhood, we have been conditioned to believe that life is a straight line. We are born, we grow, we study, we work, we age, and we die. This linear narrative is taught in schools, reinforced by society, and sustained by a limited view of time. But this is not the truth. Reality is not a single road. It is an infinite web of possibilities. Every choice you make, From the clothes you wear to the decision of moving to another city, opens new timelines. And each timeline already exists in parallel, waiting only for your consciousness to inhabit it. Modern science, especially quantum physics, has already dismantled the idea that time is absolute. Time is relative, plastic, and, in a certain sense, illusory. Experiments such as the double slit show that reality only defines itself when it is observed. In other words, infinite possibilities coexist, and you collapse one of them by focusing your attention. But what no one told us is that we are not stuck in the first line we choose. At every moment, you can shift frequency and access a new version of your life. This means there is no fixed and inevitable destiny. There is a field of possible destinies, and your consciousness is the key that opens each one of them. When we believe in the illusion of the single line, we become prisoners of "there's no way," "life is just like this," or "it's too late to change." But when we understand that the universe is a multiverse, an infinite ocean of our own versions, we realize the truth. At any moment, we can choose again. And here is the bold part. The timeline jump is not about creating something from scratch. It is about accessing something that already exists. The abundant life, the fulfilling relationship, the perfect health, the realized purpose. All of this is already happening in some version of your timeline. The question is not, "Can I have this?" The question is, am I willing to align myself with the version of me who already has this? If you still believe there is only one route, you are living in an invisible prison. But if you are beginning to sense that multiple realities are available to you, congratulations, you have begun to break the illusion of the single line. Shifting timelines does not happen silently. The body, the mind, and the soul feel the first signs before the crossing fully manifests. And if you do not understand these signs, you may think you are losing control, when in reality you are about to take command of your reality. The most common hidden symptom is the feeling of inner displacement. It is as if you no longer fit into your current life. Places that once made sense now feel strange. People you used to connect with sound as if they are speaking another language. Even your own thoughts seem no longer aligned with what you once believed. Another powerful symptom appears in dreams. Many report dreaming of different versions of themselves, living situations that never happened in this life but carry a strange familiarity. These dreams are not mere imagination. They are echoes of other timelines approaching your consciousness. In the body, signs can manifest as sudden fatigue, abrupt shifts of energy, insomnia, or even waves of heat and cold with no apparent cause. They are vibrational adjustments, preparations of your energetic field to sustain a new frequency. And perhaps the most intriguing symptom is the feeling of expanded déjà vu. Not just that fleeting sense of having lived a scene before, but entire periods of life where you feel you have already been there, already experienced that in a different way. It is the overlap of timelines crossing, signaling that you are on the verge of a leap. The most common mistake is to confuse these signs with anxiety, stress, or even illness. Of course, it is always important to care for the body and the mind, but when these symptoms appear alongside synchronicities, repeated messages, and a sense of inevitability, it is not chance. It is the calling of the leap. When you feel you no longer fit in your own skin, when the world seems to dissolve around you, it is not the end. It is the beginning. It is your consciousness preparing to cross the threshold. You may feel the calling. You may notice the signs. You may even be ready to cross. But there is a silent force, almost imperceptible, that tries to stop your leap, the invisible enemy. This enemy is not external. It is not people, governments, or hidden forces conspiring against you. The true enemy is within you. It is the unconscious programming that keeps you stuck in the same reality. Since childhood, we were conditioned by limiting beliefs. Money is hard. Relationships always end in pain. Health declines with age. You must settle for less. These phrases, repeated by parents, teachers, and society itself, created a field of low-frequency vibrations that shapes the timeline you inhabit. Here is the secret. The invisible enemy is your comfort zone. It is the force that convinces you it is safer to remain in familiar pain than to risk the unknown. It is the attachment to the old, even when the old no longer serves you. It manifests as automatic thoughts. What if it doesn't work? What if I lose everything? What if it's too late? Each time you feed these questions, you reinforce the timeline you are in. The invisible enemy grows stronger, but here is the revelation. This enemy does not exist outside you. It only survives from the energy you give it. Doubt, fear, and procrastination are the weapons it uses to keep you stuck. Crossing into a new timeline requires a radical act of courage. Recognizing that the enemy is only a reflection of your own conditioning, and that by facing it, you are not fighting something external, but breaking the inner prison that makes you repeat the same life. The invisible enemy will always try to convince you that it is not yet time, that you are not ready. But the paradox is this: the leap only happens when you cross despite the fear. When you choose to act before you feel prepared, the invisible enemy loses its strength. The new line opens. If the invisible enemy is the prison, the quantum code is the key that opens the door. This code is not a set of secret numbers or mystical formulas, but rather the way your consciousness interacts with the field of infinite possibilities of the universe. Quantum physics shows us that everything exists in a state of superposition until it is observed. The very act of observing collapses one possibility among the infinite. But here is the revelation. It is not only the physical eye that collapses reality, it is the vibrational state of consciousness that chooses the timeline. The quantum code of the leap can be summarized in 3 principles. Clarity. You must precisely define the timeline you want to access. It is not enough to say, I want a better life. The quantum field responds to the specificity of your vibration. Who is the version of you that already lives this life? How does that version think, act, and feel? Frequency. Once the desired timeline is clear, you must align vibrationally with it. This means acting as if you already were that version, feeling the emotions it feels, cultivating the thoughts it holds. Vibration does not lie. It is the password that opens the door to the leap. Persistence. The leap does not happen because you thought differently for a few minutes. It manifests when you sustain the new vibration despite the evidence of the present. It is when you insist on living as the new version, even though everything around you still seems the same. This is the quantum code: clarity, frequency, persistence. Here is an example. Imagine someone living in a timeline of scarcity. They desire prosperity. If they repeat mentally, I am prosperous, but continue feeling lack, their vibration does not sustain the new line. However, if they dive into the sensation of abundance, behave with generosity, and train their mind to recognize signs of prosperity already present, they begin to resonate with the timeline of abundance. Gradually, synchronicities accumulate and the leap happens. The quantum code is not theory, it is practice. It is not enough to know, you must live it. Every timeline is sustained by a field of frequency. This field is made up of repetitive thoughts, habitual emotions, and energetic patterns you reinforce daily. It is like an invisible prison. You cannot see it, but you feel its limits every time you try to change and end up back in the same place. To leap into another timeline, desire is not enough. You must break the frequency field that holds you captive. How does this happen? First, by recognizing that your current reality is only the reflection of the frequency you have been sustaining. If you vibrate fear, you attract experiences that confirm fear. If you vibrate scarcity, you encounter daily evidence of lack. This cycle feeds the field. The break occurs when you introduce an unexpected frequency, a vibrational shock that destabilizes the structure of the old line. This can happen in several ways. Radical shift in perception, when you interpret differently something you have always seen the same way. The problem does not change, but your consciousness does, and with it reality bends. Emotional rupture, a catharsis, a moment of deep release where you let go of emotions accumulated for years. It is like creating inner space for new frequencies to inhabit you. Acts outside the pattern, acting in unexpected ways, breaking free from automatic routines. The field of the old line depends on repetition. When you disrupt the routine, you open a crack in the field. Many report that after an intense meditation, deep breathing, or even personal crises, they felt reality shatter for an instant. This is the sign of the field breaking. But here is the crucial point. Breaking the field is not comfortable. It will resist. It will try to pull you back with thoughts like, "This doesn't make sense. You are deluding yourself," or "better leave it for later." This is the echo of the old line trying to survive. If you sustain the new frequency even amidst resistance, the line begins to crumble, the field collapses, and a new possibility opens before you. Until now, you have understood that the timeline leap is not random. It is prepared by clarity, sustained by frequency, and activated by breaking the field. But there is a final, almost secret step that turns this process into an actual crossing. The ritual of the conscious leap. The ritual is not a rigid formula, but a deep alignment between intention, emotion, and action. It is in this moment that you cease to be a spectator of your reality and become its active creator. The process can be described in 4 movements. Invocation of the new identity. You close your eyes, breathe deeply, and mentally call upon the version of yourself that already lives in the desired timeline. Imagine it in detail, how it dresses, how it speaks, how it responds to challenges. This visualization is not fantasy. It is a direct connection to an already existing parallel timeline. Vibrational immersion. More than imagining, you must feel. Allow yourself to experience in your body the sensation of this new life. If it is prosperity, feel the lightness of abundance. If it is love, feel the fullness of connection. This emotion is the vibrational seal that authenticates your passage. Symbolic act of crossing. Here, you create a physical action that represents the rupture with the old line. It may be writing a phrase and burning it, consciously walking through a door, or even a simple gesture like clapping your hands or taking a step forward. The physical act anchors the leap into the material plane. Irrevocable declaration. Finally, declare aloud, "I cross. I am now the version who already lives this reality." The voice gives form to the vibration and seals your decision in the quantum field. This ritual works because it unites mind, body, and spirit in a single intention. It does not create something new. It activates the reality that was already available, but waiting for your conscious choice. Many who have performed this process report feeling an energetic shock, as if a wave passed through the body, or a deep calm, as if something had finally clicked into place. This is the sign of the crossing. And remember, the ritual is not magic in the folkloric sense. It is science applied to the spirit. It is the conscious practice of aligning vibration so that the desired timeline becomes inevitable. Translation. Chapter 8. Reality Shocks. When the leap happens, nothing remains the same, but the transition between timelines is not always smooth. Many times, it comes with reality shocks, clear signs that you are no longer where you used to be. The first shock is incongruence. People who once seemed fundamental in your life may begin to drift away without apparent reason. Familiar places may feel strange, as if their energy had shifted. It is as if the old reality no longer recognizes your new frequency. The second shock is the acceleration of synchronicities. What once happened occasionally begins to intensify. Repeated numbers appear constantly. Casual conversations bring the answers you needed. Improbable events align in almost uncanny ways, as if the universe had become a mirror of your thoughts. The third shock is the dissolution of old identities. You may wake up one day and realize you no longer feel attached to habits, tastes, or even goals that once seemed essential. This may create confusion. Who am I now? But in truth, it is a sign that you have left behind the old version and are merging with a new identity. The fourth shock is the expanded perception of time. Some report that time seems to speed up, others that it slows down. This happens because your consciousness is no longer confined to the flow of the previous line. You are experiencing time in a more plastic way, as it truly is, relative and malleable. These shocks may be uncomfortable. They may give the impression that something is wrong. But in reality, they are confirmations. You leapt. The secret is not to resist. Allow the old reality to dissolve. Allow the new one to stabilize. Each shock is a reminder that you are no longer the same, and that is precisely the proof that the crossing was real. After the leap, you never return the same. The old timeline continues to exist, but it is no longer your home. You now find yourself in a new existential landscape, and with it comes a responsibility, the new mission. This mission is not about earning titles, accumulating possessions, or impressing others. It is about sustaining the frequency of the new line. The greatest mistake after the leap is trying to live the new reality with the mindset of the old one. Those who do so end up being pulled back. The new mission requires 3 commitments. Continuous alignment. You must watch yourself daily. Your thoughts, words, and actions must resonate with the identity of the current line. If you leapt into abundance but still speak of scarcity, you are creating cracks in the field. Conscious service. The leap is not only for you. By accessing a higher line, you become a beacon for others. Your purpose now is to share light, whether through words, actions, or simply by example. The new line flourishes when you expand its impact into the collective. Expansion without return. There is no finish line. Each leap opens doors to even greater leaps. The new mission is not to settle, but to keep crossing, exploring ever higher versions of who you can be. At its core, leaping through timelines is not just about changing your life. It is about accepting that you are a conscious creator of realities. It is about embracing that your existence is not an accident, but a living project of the universe. And perhaps this is the greatest calling of all, to understand that each leap is also a summons to live in fullness, in service, and in continuous expansion. Your new mission is not just to change your own life, but to be living proof that crossing is possible. And now I ask you, are you willing to honor this mission? If you made it this far, it was not by chance. Every word, every concept, every revelation you heard in this video was an invitation. Not to believe blindly, but to feel the truth resonating within you. We spoke about the portal that opens when you are ready, about the illusion of the single line, about the hidden symptoms of transition, the invisible enemy that tries to hold you back, the quantum code of the leap, the breaking of the frequency field, the ritual of the conscious leap, the reality shocks, and finally, the new mission. And if there is one thing that must remain engraved in you, it is this. The leap is not for tomorrow, it happens now. It does not matter who you were, It does not matter where you have been. The timeline you desire already exists, waiting only for your decision to cross. So, as this video ends, do not return to your life as if nothing has happened. Take a practical step, even if small. Write your declaration. Perform a symbolic gesture. Take a concrete action that represents your crossing. That is how you anchor in the physical what has already been decided in the spirit. Remember, only 20% of people live consciously and manifest the reality they desire. The other 80% remain stuck in timelines of repetition, believing they have no choice. But you, now, know that you do. The mission is clear. Align, cross, and expand. And the final question is, will you be part of the 20% who choose reality, or will you let the invisible enemy decide for you? If this message resonated with you, declare in the comments, "I accept the leap and the new mission." And do not forget to like, share, and subscribe. Because the more people awaken, the more elevated timelines open for all of humanity.